Welcome to the Healers Café, the #1 show for medical practitioners and holistic healers to have heart-to-heart conversations about their day-to-day lives while sharing their expertise for improving your health and wellness. Welcome to the Healers Café. And today I have with me Jana Stern. She's all about the resilience revolution, and that is a 6-month coaching journey in a group setting designed to facilitate personal and spiritual resilience through tailored coaching and holistic health techniques. Now, she has a lot more when I say that's all there's to it, but that is certainly one of the focuses that we're going to talk about here. But she has been a psychic, an astrologer, a spiritual activator with over 15 years of experience and has a lifelong connection to her psychic lineage. She's actually born in Toronto, Canada. And well, let's stop with all of that and let's welcome you here.
Thank you
And
so much.
yeah, I'm really thrilled to ask you, well, how did it all start? First of all, how did you know? Like what was the journey of the first discoveries?
Yeah. I you know, I I believe that mental health and spirituality are these, like, deeply enmeshed things, and that's because I grew up with a father who was mentally unwell, and, so I experienced that firsthand through him, and then went on my own journey of, blocking out my psychic gifts. I could always hear crystals as a child, and I could hear spirit, communicating, and it was very invasive, and it turned out that hearing voices was not a good thing, in some circles, and so I started to block it out. And in doing so, went through my own journey of deep, dark mental health issues, eating disorders, depression. They diagnosed me bipolar. Then they were like, no, just kidding. It's actually this other thing called borderline personality. And then they were like, maybe it's not that. They put me on this crazy journey of trying to find the right medications. And in that process, I kind of gave up, fed up, and swallowed a bunch of pills, had a little journey to the other side for 11 minutes and came back and was like, wait a minute, hold on, I'm here for a reason. And the reason is to actually talk about the things that most people didn't want to talk about, certainly, 30, 40 years ago. Um, and so yeah, it's been a process since then of deep healing. I started seeing a spiritual psychotherapist who taught me about meditation and oracle cards, and then we started to go deeper into the realms of metaphysics. I met a wonderful woman who taught me about metaphysics and healing, and I received a number of healings from her. And then I was like, "Oh my God, these work! I got to learn them. I got to teach them." And so I started to do that, and my grandmother on my father's side is somebody who was always practiced astrology. She was the kooky one in the 60s and 70s who would, she's got birth charts from, you know decades and decades before I was even born, that break down, the charts, and it's just like the coolest thing. So, I just kind of dove further into it and let myself kind of go all the way off the deep end because I think that that's actually where the magic is. And so, I sort of help people to remember that the mental health crisis you're having is because the system is designed for you to stay that way. And if you're feeling crazy, it's because there's a bigger reality out there that we don't really tap into, but your
Yeah,
spirit yearns for it. And so
yeah,
your mind goes a little wacky because you're trying to believe this reality, but it's not really believable anymore.
yeah. Well, even less so, in the last awakening, we could call
Mm,
it. So, yeah,
sure.
way
Yeah.
more people now are kind of having issues, which is interesting. And it's interesting. We have a so-called increase in mental disorders, but
Mm.
yeah, so well, let's talk a little bit about mental disorders and what have you come to understand about that?
We are deeply poisoned, and the food that we put in our body doesn't nourish our minds. The ways that we live, Netflix, scrolling on the phone for hours, not, not doing things that are good for our mind or our bodies or our spirits, of course we're depressed. And also, of course, all of the media that's telling us what to think, and that all the things that we should think according to them is be fearful, comply, do what they say, and also everything is going to end and you better be terrified about it. And so, we're having a mental health crisis because it's what they're creating. Because, by the way, what then comes from that is then they have a lot of patients who need a lot of medication, and then that cycle perpetuates.
Mhm.
And I've seen more positive results with meditation. Now, let me say, if you need these drugs, if you need these medications, stay on them. But if you want to get on off of them, there are ways to free yourself from the system. And I think we kind of need a balance of both. We don't only need Western and we don't only need Eastern medicine. I think we need the two to come together. And actually, when we look at these ancient practices, that tap into the different sources of power that we have, most of them solve the problems of what our modern world wants us to believe are, conspiracy. And I think that we're really moving in a direction where it's sort of undeniable that we've been lied to about at least something. I'm sort of the mindset, like, if you don't believe in any conspiracies, like, you're a crazy theorist. Like, you just believe in just straight up reality. Like, that's bold at this point. And so, yeah,
Yeah, right. It's propaganda
100%.
with the permission of calling it propaganda on the people, right? I mean, that it was actually put into law, right? It's not just reality.
No.
That's the shocking part. And I think most people don't realize that, whether it's in the media department or in the health department, where, that's another thing is if you give people powers to govern you, especially when they become global, or they
Mm,
tried anyways, they failed.
yeah. Yes.
That's the good news. But, you start to think that there is just one way and that they somehow know better, right?
Yeah.
That's how it's, and then we're divorced from it, which is
Yeah.
really shocking, like who knows better about your health than you? And I'm saying this as a non-doctor anymore, but I
Mm,
told my patients, look, you actually know the answer here.
mhm,
So let's talk about different people's answers to this if you want.
mhm.
But I want to know which one really feels like a truth to you that comes from inside?
Correct. Yeah, and that's a lot of what I teach, is about like learning to understand what your intuition even feels like, because
Yeah.
we've been so classically trained and mind warped and brainwashed to believe that our intuition is wrong, because it usually takes us outside of the norm, right? It takes us away from the pack. And learning to trust your intuition is a game. And you got to kind of work those muscles consistently, because the system will always give you an opportunity to go back to the humdrum of believing in one thing or another that is, you know, a truth, but your truth is so much bigger. And most of us don't even know what our bodies feel like. Like,
Right.
many people don't ever, scan their bodies. What, unless there's pain. We don't know how to feel good feelings. We only know how to feel pain feelings. And that in itself is like a giant red flag. We've been given all the wrong tools, I think. And my mission in this world is to give the right tools.
Yeah. Mhm. Well, I think now people are open to it. They're wanting it.
Yes.
I think that's the great thing, So, well, I want to know why you use the word resilience
Mm,
in your project.
yeah.
Tell us a little
Um,
bit about that too.
sure. Yeah. I think in order to stand up and stand in your truth, whatever your truth is, it requires a level of resilience. It requires a level of trust in yourself and willingness to go against the grain. Like you were saying earlier, swim upstream, no matter what. And that strength training is something that you have to keep going at, even when everybody has something to say. When you start to really tap into your intuition and use your gifts, so many people in your world will challenge it. Your partner will challenge it because they expect you to be a particular way. Your parents, your children, even sometimes they look at themselves in the mirror. To the path back to yourself is really difficult.
Could you repeat that? Because we had a funny internet moment.
Yeah. Um,
That everyone in your family and will challenge you, and then it kind of cut off.
yeah, that they'll challenge you, and if they're not looking at themselves in a particular way, like if they're not looking at themselves in the mirror the way that you're looking at yourself, with critical eyes, but also with self-loving eyes, which is sort of the balance there of when you are following your intuition. That's kind of how that dance works. You're like, I'm being a jerk, but also I deserve to feel good, but also I'm being a jerk, but also I deserve to feel good, and sort of playing in between those things and trusting that your intuition will guide you towards the good feelings, the good behaviors, the good whatever it is. Those are so hard to do. Those things are so challenging. And when you are trying to do them, the people in your world wanting you to be the way that you've always been, in order to stand up even against them, they're part of a system too, the system that has been you to the point that you are at. And so the resilience is necessary to be like, hold on, I'm changing. So you're changing with me, or I'm changing without you, but I'm changing. And the changes that happen lead you to these beautiful synchronicities, but sometimes big things need to fall away. And I think that actually collectively, that's sort of a little bit what we're seeing. People are just innately following their intuition, and it's leading to some really interesting realities.
Yeah, no, I would agree. I think, I mean, there's always more to learn about it, but we all have it.
Yes.
Right. And I think the hardest, I mean, I'm in Canada, right? So we're the, the conciliatory people, right?
Mm, to a
And
fault.
oh
Canadians, I am a Canadian. We're
yeah.
weak. We are weak. We're not willing to stand in our truth. Not at all.
Oh, and I think the hardest word that most still can't use is no.
Mm-hmm.
We've been told that saying no is rude,
Impolite. Yeah.
impolite, inconsiderate, and
Yep.
all of these things, right? So how do you expect that we would say, no to mandates or no to things that don't resonate or to illogical things, that don't make sense, like putting masks on, you know.
Even things that sort of did make sense, saying no to things like, no, I don't want to engage in this argument that we've gone down the road of 1,000 times. No, I don't want to, be in a relationship or a friendship with somebody who doesn't make me feel good, right?
Yeah,
Like, these no's are so hard. They require a deep resilience, big time.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. So how did you create really the reality that you're um living? How did you
I
together? What was the process of that?
I think it started with me receiving a lot of healings. Like I had said earlier, I was really open to, I didn't trust that the medical system was going to have my back because I had seen it fail my father many times. And he'd gone through many cycles of mania, depression, in and out of hospitals, on and off medications, like just roller coasters. So I didn't think that they were going to have my back. And when I found you know, these modalities, it started to make so much sense to me. And I would go and get these different sessions. I got a one healing called the life activation, which completely changed my life, so much so that I now give it because I was like, this is incredible. And there were many other healings that followed it, crystal healings. There was a King Solomon healing, a number of other things that I received. Um, and I just kept opening my reality. And the more I studied, the more that I was like, holy crow, there are a lot of other modalities. Like I've put my toe into human design. I've put my toe into EFT, into the I Ching. I've put my, my toe into all kinds of other esoterica practices. I read tarot, I read oracle cards. I'm a big astrologer, and all of these different things kind of like I put them all into my back pocket. I have a Pisces sun and a Pisces Mercury, which means that I really want to like who I am and the way that I think and speak is totally woo and weird. So the more woo and weird that it was, I just drew it into me, and I retain it really well because I'm passionate about it. And so after 15 years almost of studying all of this stuff, I just brought it in such a way that I was like, all of these pieces add up to how I've been resilient. To go from a person who was trying to end their life and deep and dark in depression, in terrible cycles with my family, in terrible cycles with myself, having all of these really chaotic experiences constantly, and knowing that I was perpetuating them, that I was like participating with them in a particular way, and then breaking free of that and living a life where I feel like I'm in alignment. I'm able to set the boundaries that I need to set. I'm able to like have loving relationships with the people in my life that might hurt me, but also keep them where I need to keep them. And to feel like I know that spirit is constantly showing me, yes, you're on the right path. Yes, keep going this way. Yes, do this thing. No, don't do that. Go over this way, girl. And so the more that I followed it, the more that I was like, more people need to live this way. And I know that as people's depression and anxiety and mental health has become so trendy and so publicly, in a crisis almost, not almost, like we're in a mental health crisis straight up. I know that there is a way to free yourself from what the system of mental health tells you, because the system of mental health only wants you to feel to a particular way, to a particular height or dimension, right? The medication, I would always say, they numbed me here when my highs were high and my lows were low. I could only feel what was in this sort of normal range. And while that was somewhat stabilizing, it was also clear to me that I wasn't fully feeling my feelings, and that felt like crap.
What would your life be like if you were pain-free? If you were one of the millions who suffer from chronic pain, the thought of just one day without it may seem impossible. This is often because conventional medicine tends to fall short in the treatment of pain, opting to prescribe pills or recommend surgery rather than getting to the root cause of the problem. But if you are suffering with emotional or physical pain, there is hope. Join the founder and CEO of Bowen College, Manon Bolliger, live online for your body-mind reboot. Learn how to listen to your symptoms and get to the root cause of your pain. Plus, be trained in basic Bowen therapy moves so that you can reboot your body for optimal health. You don't have to live in pain. You can heal. Stop the pain pill cycle by visiting www.yourbodymindreboot.com to learn more and to register.
And so, one of the symptoms of being on these drugs is suicide, because you don't want to be alive only feeling a percentage of your feelings. So I just kept going. I used to, many years ago, I used to just take my oracle deck and read strangers on the street. I have the gift of mediumship, so I'm able to communicate with people on the other side. And I would literally just see a stranger and be like, can I give you a reading? And I would just have them in tears within 20 minutes on the side of the road. And eventually, after I was working in retail, and it was many years of clients coming to see me, to buy a pair of jeans, and they'd be there for an hour and a half talking about their husbands or their friend who wasn't kind to them or their children. And I was like, I think I might be just coaching these people. I think I might just be like reading these people. And so then I started a practice of reading people in my home. And, then I learned how to give these healings and got deeper in my astrology practice, deeper in my human design, deeper in all of these other, metaphysical practices. And during the pandemic, got even deeper. And here we are.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
It really, it feels like a natural listening to, when they say there's signs. I just had a week of every time I look at the clock, it's either, 1:11, 11:11, it's like,
Mhm.
it's always ones, right? And it's
Mhm.
like, okay. And I
You're
smile.
starting something new.
Yeah. Well, and that, yeah, exactly. And also it was something way back 20 plus years when I met my current partner. It's the same thing. We drove in Ireland in the town and it was 1:11 and and it's like, and time had a different feeling to it. It was
Yes.
like it slowed right down and it was like,
Mm.
we still have an entire afternoon. It's like
That's the best feeling.
and that was just yesterday, and we have a you know.
That's great.
So it was kind of a funny thing, and so this week was very much, though it wasn't obvious what it is, the signs are obvious, and I kept going, okay, good, I'll accept that. I'll just keep going.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's funny how yeah, you have a choice. You can either make it mean something and
Mm.
build the connection,
Mm.
or block it and say, oh, here's another coincidence. Like
Right.
I would have had about 9 of them.
Well, and that's what Resilience Revolution is all about. Because it's not about just like making it mean something, but it actually does mean something. Numbers are trying to speak to us. The universe speaks to us first in numbers, always in frequency, which we measure in numbers. So, and every single sign and symbol has meaning to it. And we each have different kinds of gifts, different kinds of ways that things come for us and show us, them reveal themselves, so to speak. And because we all have different birth charts, different moments in time where we incarnated in this life with different karma, different, positions of the planets at the time of our birth, we're unique. We're individual beings, excuse me, expressing the whole. And so in that 6 months, I teach you what your magic feels like. It's not about me getting you into my funnel for the rest of time to like be one of my rah Jana people, which like I love a rah Jana person. Let me let me just say that. But I'm not trying to have fans forever. I'm trying to teach people to free themselves. And
Yeah.
so after 6 months, that's the opportunity. So it's a group coach and it's one-on-one coaching, either monthly or weekly, depending on what it is you feel you need. But it really gives people that opportunity to understand what the hell is your intuition trying to tell you. It's not random, it's specific to you. So learning to pick up on that and really understand it is like, that's my sweet spot.
Wow, that's exciting.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, and the whole marketing of it, because you see, I have a not I mean, it's a resistance I've overcome, obviously, because
Mm.
I created Bow in college, and I teach a natural pain elimination method, and we definitely work with trauma, mind,
Mm.
body, spirit. It's not a physical therapy only, though
Right.
we go through the body, which I think is really amazing. And a lot of people
Body keeps the score. Yes, definitely. It's necessary.
yeah, no, Gabor is definitely one of my heroes of
Mhm.
thought of putting things together. And I've done workshops with him as well.
Cool.
And he knows this methodology. And yeah, so in one of my books, he wrote the preface for it.
Mm.
So
Cool.
yeah, that's very, very cool. But it's funny at this stage, and I was going to say, there was never a question about this is what I'm going to do. Like, it was like, this can be taught to so many people. We can have a world movement. You
Mm.
can learn it, take it at home, do it with your family. You can spread it, and you can get even more you know, technical about it and, and have a real practice, which I did, I went that route, but I
Mm,
also felt it was important to teach it. And so I'm continuing this project, but it's so funny because I know it's evolving and
mm,
I don't know yet where it's going. And I'm just like, I have the best team in the world, which took me a long time to create. But they're not quitters. They were with me during the pandemic as well. And when,
cool.
we had calls like, I'd like to take your class, but are you making sure everyone took the bioweapon? I'm like, no, I'm not enforcing it. And then other people would call saying, I just want to make sure that
No one did.
no one did, because, I've heard about transfection and,
Sure.
then we're
Oh, we
touching,
are really living in our own realities now.
whoa, so anyway,
Yeah.
it
You were
could have
going to say about marketing.
Yeah, I know it could have been a killer, that part. But yeah, so marketing, it always feels like getting the word. Of course, I've taken marketing courses. I've taught practitioners how to get up on their feet, how to stop being a secret, how to, so
Mm,
I'm well versed in it. But I am not the person who sees myself reaching out. And and what's funny, I am very much in line with what that's what I said when I first met you. I go, you have the job I'll have when I grow up.
warms my heart to hear that. I hope you do have it when you grow up. Grow up quick.
But it's like, how do you reach out? How do you,
Mm,
like, I hate social media. I'm a little more excited by X now because, there's so much stuff being shared there, but
mm.
I don't really understand how it works. I don't understand the 144 character. I mean, it's like, I'm not into it. I don't want it.
I actually have a pretty big presence on X, which I am grateful for relatively. I mean, more than 5,000, but not more than that. I mean, I
Yeah.
think maybe I'm almost at 6. Um, I'll say this.
How do
Um,
you,
yeah, some of what I do is so I do a lot of speaking, particularly on X. A lot of the way that I grew that account was that I was speaking on a lot of spaces. And I actually host a space that I've been doing for 142 weeks with 2 of my girlfriends whom I adore. And we have been holding that space, and it's really beautiful. We call it Metaverse and Metaphysics, and we talk about everything under the sun and beyond for 142 weeks together. Um, and so that's really helped to grow my account there. I'm just literally getting into other people's spaces, talking about things that I think are interesting, particularly around crypto and also astrology and things like that, things that are, relative to me. So that was a great way that I was able to grow that account. But to be honest, the best way that I have found growth and expansion for my business, because I'm also somebody who really has a difficult time spending too much time on social media, in particular in the past year, but also since 2020. Like, it's just been really intense for me. And because of that, I'm not ashamed to say that I outsource my, some help as well. And shout out to my friends at Up Level, my PR team. They are the best. Truly, if you can do it, having a team that vouches for you, that says this is who this person is and she's worthy of listening to, and she's got something to say, and people should hear it. That to me has been such a huge up level. Literally funny. I didn't even mean to say, but that is the name of Kaylee's company. And shout out to Bryn and Brittany. But yeah, that you get this whole, it's like being boosted, because it's not easy to have a message and a mission and to do those things. And if you can't do it all yourself as a one woman show, or even as a, 20-person show with a whole team behind you, still, like, it's worth it, at least for me, to leverage the support that I need, because I can't do it all. I can't work with clients produce my own podcast, talk with all of the people that I want to talk with, and get my name out there and do all that work, that legwork. That's what I have a team for. And
Yeah.
so, I'm super, super grateful that I'm able to do that, that my business supports that. And that's something that is possible for me as I continue to grow. And I would recommend it to anybody. Like, if you can get yourself a PR team, and even if you can't, there are lots of lists of people who are in your niche that are, relevant to you, and you can just literally automate it. AI will help. Go into Claude or Chat GPT and be like, create a custom email for me, sell me on this, sell me on that. These are my skill sets. Tell them that this is what I do, and here's how they can support. And these are all the things that I'm willing to do, and set, and then go ahead and generate lists of people to send it to, and send like 30 emails a day, and boom, boom, bang, you're good to go. And all that can be automated too on make.com. So now I'm a walking advertisement for everyone and everything. Chat GPT and Claude and make.com do not pay me. So just saying.
But it's very interesting to hear your point of view, because I have hired, different marketing companies. They say, well, we can be the backbone, help, set it. And so I have everything automated, etc. But they say that people really need to see you and connect with you and be with you. And I'm the same person, as I am at home. When I'm an introvert. I like people, but I don't like them that much that I want to hang out nonstop,
I
and
love that.
and answer like, no, I like profound, important discussions. I hate that,
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah.
I'm not made for this. And it's funny because you're just saying, well, yeah, there's so a part of you, that part you just actually, even though they say, don't ever give out your marketing, you really need to be that person these days. You just did what we always tell people, just do what feels right, right? And that was kind of one of my things. I can't do that because I can't. I can, but I don't want to, right? I don't want to be that person. I just,
Yeah. I mean,
yeah,
have you looked do you know what your human design type is?
yeah. If you give me what the choices, I have small
So
memory.
there's
Give
a
me,
manifester, generator, manifesting generator, projector, and reflector.
okay, so I just had this discussion with one of my daughters.
That's funny.
Uh, I think I'm the one that things come to me.
Manifester. You're either a manifester or you're a manifesting generator.
Yeah. That I thought manifesting generator, but then, yeah, she says you have to wait. You put things out there, but
Oh no, you're a projector.
that's what she said I was. And
Right.
when I
So
did my,
I am also a projector, and I will
okay,
say
and
that
I'm a
we are not.
Pisces, and I'm a
I'm a
Pisces.
Pisces too. There you go. So yeah, if you're a projector, you're not meant to do all of the things. You're meant to let other people do stuff so that you can get the right invitations. And
Mhm.
that is why I outsource, because I don't have the energy literally to be around everybody pushing and doing and begging and knocking on doors.
Mhm.
I'll let somebody else knock on the doors, and that actually replenishes me and my energy field way more than
Right.
if I were pushing for
Mhm.
something, you know?
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, also what you're sharing here too is that, and it's a belief that people have, which I would say I still have it. Otherwise, it
Mm.
wouldn't be in the question, is do you have to get over everything? Or can you choose, like, no, this one I'm not interested in, for example, right? Just say, no, this one I'm
Well,
letting
that would be trusting your intuition.
exactly. Anyway, which therefore concludes
Exactly.
on the subject matter. Anyway,
Yeah.
let me give you the last few words. It was absolutely a hoot and funny how it all kind of worked out.
Yeah, this has been so lovely. Thank you so much for your time. Yeah, I just want to share with everybody that, it is possible to break free and to live a life that feels like you're making decisions that you can trust. You don't have to live with anxiety all the time. If you are feeling an abnormal amount of anxiety in your life, it is okay for you to rejig your life so that you're not feeling that anxiety. And whatever that looks like, it's okay. If that means quitting your job, if that means leaving your partner, if that means moving to another country and pretending like you didn't exist in the old one, truly we are living in our own realities, and your reality is the only one that you're in control of. So be less bothered. And if you don't know how to do that, you can go ahead and find me on all of the socials. So my website is janastern.com, just first name, last name, JANASTERN.com. And on every single social media platform, you can find me at Jana Stern Healer. And I'm always happy to reply to DMs and emails. I'm not always good about it. I'm not always like right on the money. I'm not always like fast, but I'll do my best to reply with as much love and integrity as I can. So just, send me a DM, and, let it maybe include the word in there, just resilience, and we'll push forward. Maybe I'll even send you something fun.
All right. Well, thank you so much. It was really fun.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us at the Healers Café. If you haven't already done so, please like, comment, and subscribe with notifications on, as I post a new podcast every Wednesday with tons of useful information and tips for natural healing that you won't want to miss.